welcome to the Dropship Podcast. And today I have a special guest, my business partner, Lianna Patch from Punchline Copy. Thanks for being here, Lianna.
Oh my God, thanks for having me.
I'm excited. You are one of the speakers at Dropship Breakthru Live. If you're listening to this and you're a student, you can get your ticket at dropshipbreakthru.com/live. If you're thinking about signing up, book a call with us, dropshipbreakthru.com/call. We'd love to have you in the course, and we can set you up with a live event ticket where you can meet this goofy little lady in person. Her jokes get dirtier the more you know her. It's amazing.
Don't tell them that. Let that be a surprise they uncover later.
Oh, boy. She will be your favorite.
Okay, go on.
She'll be your favorite presenter. No question. I guarantee that. She's very good at what she does. I couldn't be more excited to have you as a business partner and more excited that you're willing to come talk to our students and, glean a little wisdom off yourself to them. Like, you're one of the funniest people I've ever met. You're an absolute weirdo, which is why I think I like you even more. And in the way that you take that funny, weird sense of humor of yours and adjust it to e-commerce is something no one else is doing. And I know you wanted some parts to clip for your mom. So just clip a few of these out.
Yes.
You're amazing. I really enjoy having you as a business partner. We don't always see eye to eye, but somehow we laugh about it in the end. And I don't know, I enjoy you. So I'm really glad.
I go off and type out a long text message. Today.
You delete it?
You. I love this podcast. It has just rocketed to the top of my favorites for all the nice things you just said about me. So
there we go. Well, look, I want to make this kind of short and sweet. There is a longer version, I think, where you and I went deep on my old podcast, the BK Show, which is still lingering out there. I'm definitely still going to start it back up someday, I swear.
Wow.
But you can check it out, thebkshow.com, if you want to hear all of Lianna's history. But could you give a brief background of perhaps before you started conversion copywriting with a sense of humor? How did you even get to a place where you thought that might be something you want to do for a living?
I had started doing stand-up and was just getting into improv and was like, I wish there was a way I could combine comedy with copywriting. And I was mentoring with Joanna Weeb, and she basically was like, why not just do that? And so kind of gave me the permission that I needed to start Punchline in 2016.
So who was the lucky person who was like, yeah, go ahead and write some funny stuff on my website? Like, how did you get your break into actually doing it for others? Who
was the first client? That's a great question. I don't remember.
I thought everyone remembered their first.
I want to say Andy Fawcett from gmb.io might have been one of the first. He's hilarious. His site's amazing. But yeah, even then I wasn't taking as many risks as I take now. So I look back at the page I wrote for him and I'm like, damn, you could have gone so much harder. But I think also his brand wasn't ready to go that hard yet. And now they do. Yeah.
I do think that's probably something that's going to come up with our students too. Are they ready to go all the way? Where I think when you actually do go all the way and get your own vibe, your own personality, your own sense of everything, that is what attracts people, right? It becomes polarizing. It brings in the right people and it pushes away the wrong people. But I don't want to try to describe what you do, Lianna. Can you explain to us what conversion copywriting with a sense of humor, even how do you explain that to people when they ask?
One of the first things I find myself saying over and over is when you think of being funny in your copy, it's not just an on-off switch, it's a spectrum, right? So if you're over here and you're dead boring and corporate and formal and you have no flavor, you can just be a little funnier, a little friendlier, and you start to edge more toward this end of the spectrum, which is balls to the wall, Cards Against Humanity, super offensive, maybe super crass or absurd. We don't have to go from this to that. We can live in the middle and just be and find your own version. And within the spectrum, there are dimensions of funny. There's highbrow, there's dark, there's absurd, there's, goofy and wholesome. So I just tell people it's not a one and done. There are ways to make it your own, and there are ways to make it appropriate for, your comfort level.
I think you have to know who you're talking to as well, right? Yeah. We had a Office Hours with BK call last week where someone selling bidets kind of came forward to work through their website. And I think there's a real opportunity all across that spectrum, right? Definitely have some older folks who are handicapped who could use these things. And then there's also, someone with a real sense of humor where I think I referenced you on the call. I'm like, Lianna would have a ball with this website because there's just so much that you could say. And so, finding who you're speaking to and understanding, should I talk a certain way to them?
Yeah. And also in the bidet space, Tushy is occupying that absurd end of the spectrum.
What would you do then? Understanding where Tushy is, where would you go more to the older demographic and be a little less abrasive, I guess would be.
I mean, like you said, it depends on who the market is. I think Tushy is kind of appealing to Gen X and millennials, like people who are just starting to come into more disposable income or disposal income, if you will. Yeah. I think like if your audience is going to appreciate butt and poop jokes, then go for it. But there's, yeah, like you said, if you're targeting older folks, maybe there's room for more gentle euphemism or poofemism.
So I maybe you don't have experience here, but I found with a lot of folks, and look, we've got a lot of new students, we have some experienced folks. What I've typically seen is people start with features, benefits, like this product blank, this product, and it comes from the supplier from which they're uploading the products, right? How is there something that you do to teach people to step away from that and bring in this personality, even if it's on the, just the beginning edge of comedy or personality in general? Is there something you do to kind of break through that wall? Because I'm sure you encountered as well.
Oh, yeah. You and I both tell people don't use the manufacturer's copy. Like, don't copy and paste. Start with the problem is always a good one. Put yourself in their shoes. What is going wrong in their life? How bad does that feel? How great would it feel to fix it? And set them up emotionally before you start talking about the hows and whys. And if you're totally stumped, you can look at the reviews, especially if you have a product in a super competitive market. You have similar products, right? Look at their reviews, even if you don't have any yet, and see the way that people are talking about their problems. And then you can just pull that copy verbatim into your product story.
Now, you and I are partners on ParamountPetHealth.com. That's our own brand. We can decide maybe some more decisions than I think people who are retailing products can. If you want to go see what Lianna does, I don't think you go too far there. It's more cutesy. It's more dad jokes, if you will, on the pet side for ParamountPetHealth.com. But I've seen you do some wilder things, and I've also seen you do things for brands who are retailing products, which is all of our students.
Yeah.
And everyone listening to this who's considering being a student. And so do you have any examples of like what that looks like when you are retailing other brands, but you want to have your own personality on your site?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the edge, right? Like putting your own personality on something that someone else might be selling is the one competitive edge you can have. Sprinkler supply store comes to mind. They sell landscaping and sprinkler parts wholesale, and you'd think that would be a really boring niche, but precisely because they're kind of boring products, having a more fun voice helps them stand out. And we went through a few key pages of their website and some of their email flows and brought in more voice. And they still, years later, get email replies being like, this was so funny. This was so unexpected. And like next time those people need to order parts, they're going to go back to Sprinkler Supply.
Yeah. And look, I would say the same thing about Paramount. We often get replies to stuff that you've written a long time ago, right? If you want to see that, I would encourage you to go buy some products from us, ParamountPetHealth.com, and you can watch the email flows that Lianna has. But I'm struggling to ask what I want to ask. Like,
yeah,
what direction do you take on most businesses when you come in? Because again, you talked about this spectrum, and so are you relying on the business owner themselves to kind of give you some feedback on how far down that spectrum they're willing to go of I don't want to say abrasiveness, but like,
a lot of the time I am, because I mean, you can ask a lot of questions about what's resonated with customers in the past. Is there certain messaging or phrasing that really works? Is there stuff that people say over and over in customer supports or support chats or reviews? Like, how do we match what they're expecting and match what feels authentic to the brand while still creating a personality and not just being generic? So I think there is a back and forth.
I think it's one of the things I learned from you that you told me. I saw you present similar things of like, let's go out and use the reviews that are in the world for products that are the same or similar, and then just use that customer voice back at them. But I would imagine you have to push a lot of people pretty hard. And the only reason I'm pushing here is because I think there's a lot of people listening to this who might need a little bit of a nudge to lean a little bit harder in there. Like I think you can use funny in almost any situation, and it will work. Personally, I've seen you use it in a ton of situations. And so like, I can hear some people listening where they're like, that won't work in my industry. Yeah. What do you say to people like that who don't believe it would work for them?
I say, try it. You'd test anything else, wouldn't you? So test comedy. And usually I say, test it in an email And it can be as subtle as like a funny subject line to see if that increases your average open rate, or, changing your unsubscribe footer to something that makes them smile. I was doing that a lot with our emails, as you know, where they scroll down, they have to find the unsubscribe, and it says like, look, a tiny hamburger, and there's an emoji. Like, that's not something that you see every day. Maybe that changes people's minds about unsubscribing. Yeah. So test is my answer.
I think you have a lot of I may ask for some like people to step forward, because I know off the top of your dome you'll be able to come up with something unique for most industries, and so I won't put you too hard on the spot, but I think if we can get one or two volunteers who are like, Lianna definitely can't help me, and they're at the event, maybe you could help them. But specifically, how I've seen you present on a lot of things, and I think every single presentation I've seen from you would be fantastic for this event. Do you have any idea of like how at the event you might go about teaching this to, again, knowing the audience is specifically people retailing products?
Yeah, I can think of a couple different talks that I could mash together. Most of when I speak, I want to be leaving people with actionable ideas. Like, I am allergic to those presenters who go up and they're like, I changed my life. Here's my story. Like, big swell of music. Goodbye. And you're like, I don't know what to do with that. You looked nice, I guess. So I'm very tactical usually when I speak. And I've talked about like common mistakes I see on product pages, easy fixes for copy, one of which is if you have a wall of text, add some paragraph breaks and selective bolding and headers, and wow, you just made it like 100% more readable. We've talked about bringing in reviews. There's lots of things that people can do right now to improve their copy.
Well, I'm excited to have you there. Again, I think anyone who's coming, you're going to walk away with Lianna being your favorite presenter. I think every time I've seen you on stage, that tends to be the case, especially at ECF. You're well known there for some of your jokes. I saved an email. I was going to read it. I'll put it out as an introduction in the Facebook group as like, hey, Lianna's coming. I don't know. It kind of highlights your sense of humor and like how you go about things and how you can really actually give value. We're not selling anything in this email that I think I want to highlight, but you're giving a ton of value to our audience and then making them laugh at the same time. I know I laughed hysterically at it, and so I kind of want to share that. But I'm excited for you to be there and make everyone in the room laugh. If I can talk you into staying an extra day where you could dive into people's businesses, I'm all for that. So I'll hassle her for all of you listening if I can do that. But thanks for being here. I'm looking forward to having you at the event, and really thank you for coming on the show and getting to know our audience.
My pleasure. Thanks, Ben.